The interview was in 20 minutes. Marcus Chen had rehearsed his answers 100 times, pressed his only suit until the creases were sharp enough to cut paper, and mapped out 3 different routes to account for traffic. This was it. The job that would change everything. The job that would finally let him send money home to his mom, pay off his student loans, and prove to everyone who'd ever doubted him that he was going to make it. But as he stood on that crowded subway platform, watching a young woman's purse being snatched by a blur of movement, watching her stumble backward, toward the edge as the train's headlights appeared in the tunnel, Marcus made a choice that would cost him everything he'd worked for, or so he thought. The thief had already disappeared into the crowd by the time Marcus reached her. She was frozen, one foot dangling over the platform edge, her eyes wide with shock. Without thinking, Marcus grabbed her arm and pulled her back just as the train roared past, close enough that he felt the wind whip against his face. "Are you okay?" Marcus asked, steadying her as she caught her breath. She couldn't have been more than 25. Dressed in jeans and a simple sweater, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. "My purse," she whispered, still shaking. Everything was in there. My phone, my wallet, my keys. Marcus glanced at his watch. 15 minutes now. If he left right this second, he might still make it. He looked at the young woman, tears beginning to stream down her cheeks, and felt his chest tighten. "Hey, it's going to be okay," he heard himself say, even as his dream job slipped further away. "Do you have anyone you can call? Somewhere you need to be?" She shook her head, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "I don't know anyone's number by heart anymore. They were all in my phone. And I was supposed to meet my dad for lunch, but I don't even know how to get there now without my Maps app." Marcus pulled out his own phone. "Where were you supposed to meet him?" "The Grandview Hotel, downtown." His interview was at Hartwell Industries. Just 2 blocks from there? Because there was no way he could do both now. He looked at this stranger, vulnerable and alone in a city that could be cruel to people, having the worst day of their lives, and made his choice. "Come on," Marcus said gently. "I'll help you get there." They took a cab, paid for with the emergency $20 bill Marcus kept in his shoe, money he'd been saving for a celebration dinner after landing the job. During the ride, she introduced herself as Sophie, a recent college graduate trying to figure out her next steps. Marcus told her about the interview he was missing, trying to keep his voice light even as his heart sank with each passing minute. "Oh no," Sophie said, her face crumbling. "Marcus, no. We need to turn around." "Your interview?" "It's okay," he interrupted, though it really wasn't. "Some things are more important than a job interview. You were almost—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Besides, they probably wouldn't have hired me anyway. I'm sure they had dozens of candidates more qualified than me. "Don't say that," Sophie said firmly. "Anyone can see you're special. Not many people would do what you just did." Marcus smiled sadly. "Maybe, but being a good person doesn't pay the bills." When they arrived at the Grandview Hotel, Sophie insisted on getting his contact information. "I'm going to pay you back for the cab and for your time and—" "You don't owe me anything," Marcus said. "Just stay safe, okay? And maybe memorize your dad's phone number." She laughed through fresh tears and hugged him tightly. "Thank you. You have no idea what you've done for me today." As Marcus walked away, his phone buzzed. An email from Hartwell Industries. "Dear Mr. Chen, we noted your absence from today's interview. Unfortunately, we cannot reschedule and will be moving forward with other candidates. We wish you the best in your job search." The words blurred as he read them. 14 months of unemployment, hundreds of applications, and the one interview that had felt promising was gone. He sat down on a bench outside the hotel and put his head in his hands. His mom had been so proud when he told her about the interview. How was he going to explain this? 3 weeks passed. Marcus survived on ramen noodles and spent his days applying to dozens more jobs, each rejection email landing like a punch to the gut. His mom called every other day, her voice trying to stay cheerful as she asked if there was any news. He kept his answers vague, unable to admit that he'd thrown away his best chance to save some stranger. Then his phone rang with an unknown number. "Is this Marcus Chen?" a crisp, professional voice asked. "Yes? This is Jennifer Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries. I'd like to meet with you tomorrow morning if you're available. 9 o'clock at my office." Marcus nearly dropped the phone. Jennifer Hartwell. The Jennifer Hartwell. Forbes had named her one of the most innovative CEOs under 40. Yes, I'll be there. Excellent. Oh, and Marcus? Don't be late this time. The line went dead before he could ask what she meant. The next morning, Marcus arrived at Hartwell Industries headquarters 30 minutes early. The building was even more impressive up close, all glass and steel, reaching toward the sky like a monument to success. A receptionist escorted him past the lobby, into an elevator and up to the executive floor. Jennifer Hartwell's office overlooked the entire city, but it wasn't the view that made Marcus freeze in the doorway. It was the woman sitting behind the desk, and the younger woman standing beside her. Sophie. Hello, Marcus, Jennifer Hartwell said, standing to shake his hand. I believe you've already met my daughter. Sophie smiled, looking nothing, like the terrified girl from the subway in her professional blazer and confident posture. Hi again. Marcus's mind raced. I don't understand. Jennifer gestured for him to sit. Sophie told me everything. About the theft. About how you saved her from falling onto the tracks. About how you gave up your interview to make sure she got somewhere safe. She leaned forward, her expression intense. Do you know what my company values most, Marcus? Above impressive degrees or perfect references? He shook his head, still trying to process everything. Character, Jennifer said simply. The integrity to do the right thing when no one's watching. When it cost you something. Sophie told me you gave up what you called your dream job for a stranger. That's not someone with good interview skills. That's someone with good judgment and a good heart. I thought I'd ruined everything, Marcus admitted quietly. You did ruin your chances at being just another employee, Sophie said with a grin. But you earned something better. Jennifer slid a folder across the desk. This is a job offer for our leadership development program. It's a 2-year accelerated track that fast-forwards high potential candidates into management positions. The salary is more than double what the position you originally applied for would have paid. Marcus opened the folder with shaking hands. The numbers on the page seemed impossible. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Jennifer said warmly. We need more people like you here. People who understand that how we treat each other matters. Just as much as our bottom line, people who know that sometimes the right choice is the one that costs us something. Marcus looked between Jennifer and Sophie, his eyes burning. For 14 months, he'd wondered if being a good person was enough. If kindness was just a luxury for people who could afford it. If maybe he needed to be more ruthless, more self-centered, to survive. Yes, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, absolutely yes. As he left the building that day, contract signed, Marcus called his mom. When she answered, he could hear the forced brightness in her voice. The same tone she'd been using to hide her worry. Mom, he said, and his voice broke. I got the job. A better one than I even imagined. Her cry of joy echoed through the phone, and Marcus stood on that busy street corner, people rushing past him on their way to important places, and he cried too. Because sometimes kindness isn't its own reward. Sometimes it's the door to something greater than we could have dreamed. Sometimes being human is exactly enough.